Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Jurassic World review. Today we're taking a look at the new Dino Roar Attack Metriacanthosaurus. I've had this figure for a few weeks now, and I'm finally getting around to reviewing it. Found this at my local Walmart. I've actually seen quite a few of these at Walmarts in my area, and there may be a very weird explanation why we're only seeing this figure at Walmart currently. Someone in one of the Jurassic Park Facebook toy groups pointed this out the other day. If you go on Walmart's app and look up this figure, it's listed as an extreme damage Metriacanthosaurus and also a roar attack. So maybe at some point this figure was planned for the extreme damage line, which we all know that line is exclusive to Walmart's in the US, and they scrapped the idea and just made it a regular release roar attack figure. But it is kind of odd that this figure is only being found at Walmart's right now. Like a lot of them. I've seen up to 9 in one store, which means they're putting out full cases of this figure. And this figure really does not fit into the current wave assortments that we know of. Right now we know of 3 waves of roar attacks coming. The first wave had Adult Bumpy, Limbo the Baryonyx, and the Ceratosaurus. Wave 2, Ouranosaurus, the Allosaurus, and Chaos the Baryonyx. And then wave 3 is coming really soon. It's got the Battle Big Rock, Allosaurus, Kentrosaurus, and the Green Ceratosaurus. So this figure really does not fit in with the current wave assortment. So yeah, really odd and curious release. I guess maybe it's an unofficial, I don't know, unannounced Walmart exclusive. I guess time will tell if this figure is found at any other retailers, but right now it's looking like it's a Walmart exclusive. I mean, just going by the description on their site. So yeah, definitely really odd release. And I'll also leave a link to Walmart's site if you want to order this figure from them down below in the description. So let's go over the package really quick before we crack this figure open. Comes in the new Dino Roar Attack packaging that we've covered a few times on the channel already. You've got the busted up paddock fence, pteranodons flying in the background. Blue over here, Jurassic World logo up here. New Dino logo. Got a picture of how that slider action feature works on this figure. And then turn it around, you get a picture of how the feature works on the Metriacanthosaurus. And then down here in the corner, you have a picture of the Wave 1 roar attacks. Like, I'm still, kind of befuddled about how this is listed on that Walmart site. It's the exact same packaging you'll find on any other roar attack figure. So yeah, I guess time will tell of what the true nature of this release really is. So enough about the packaging and my conspiracy theories. Let's crack this figure open and take a closer look. But before we throw this figure up on the turntable, just like all the current Roar Attack figures, the tail comes separate in the packaging. All you need to do is just line everything up and push it in so you hear it click into place, and it is a one-time assembly. It is not coming back out once you attach the tail. Alright, let's start with this 360-degree view of the Metriacanthosaurus. I'll be honest with you, this is my first Metria in my collection. I passed on the previous 2 versions, the Fallen Kingdom version and the Condiment King Dino Rivals version. Every time I saw those figures on shelves, it just never appealed to me. I didn't like the color scheme, especially that red and yellow one. That one was just like, looked like the inside of a Big Mac with all that ketchup and mustard colors. Until I saw this one on the shelves, and this one has a much more natural looking paint scheme than the previous 2 releases. The body is cast in brown. You got those black markings on the back that transition into red markings on the head. Lower jaw is a lighter color, so hooray for multiple paint apps. Good paint job can really change your opinion on a figure, even though the sculpt is just really boring, generic looking theropod dinosaur. It's got the hunchback, the pronated hands, and just a generic theropod head. But you know what? It's giving off that retro, older school dinosaur toy vibe, and I kind of like it. I really hated the previous 2, but now I got this one in my hands. I'm liking this one a little bit better. I really wish they did the sculpt and how Metriacanthosaurus appeared in Jurassic World Evolution with those color schemes, because it's a beautiful model in the game, and this thing looks nothing like the Evolution version. But like I said, it's giving off those nice retro vibes and giving me some nostalgia, so I do like it. It doesn't appeal to everybody, but it is what it is. It's just, a lazy Mattel figure that I kind of like. Now for a couple quick measurements, this figure is 13.5 inches long from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, and just under 4 inches tall. So Metriacanthosaurus in real life was just over 26 feet long, so I'll put this figure somewhere in the 123 scale range. So let's zoom and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with that really generic looking head. It's just wide and boxy. Like I said, just, it does give off those retro vibes. You have some of that bright red paint starting at the back of the head, the eyes painted in yellow with a black pupil. And, Mattel always does this with some of the markings on the head. They use like some kind of like, tempograph machine. Looks like the paint is like screened on, and it just looks really weird and digital looking. I'm just really not a fan of how that looks, especially up close. It's just really, doesn't blend well with the rest of the paint on the figure. You got some big yellow teeth hanging out of the upper jaw. The bottom jaw is colored in a lighter colored plastic. And looking at the figure from the front, you get that, big, wide, stupid looking generic theropod head. Doesn't even have binocular vision. And then opening up the mouth, let's get the camera to refocus on that head. You get some nice details inside the mouth, gum tissue, tongue, and the roof of the mouth are all cast in glossy pink plastic. And then going down to the neck, you do have some nice folds and wrinkles and some nice fine scale detail all over the body. You have all these large osteoderms sculpted in that go all the way down to about, the end of the tail. And you have all these large scoots along here. So it is a very nicely detailed figure. People that do customizing their figures, there's a lot of details to pick out and really make this figure stand out. And then going down to the arms, you got really generic looking pronated theropod hands. The claws on the hands are not painted in, which is pretty typical for most figures from Mattel. And then going down to the hind legs, you still have all that nice scale detail and muscle definition on the hind legs. The toe claws are really long and curved looking. They're not painted in. I couldn't tell you if they were painted in on the previous versions of the figures. Like I said, I don't have them. And then turn the figure over. Here is the scan code for those of you that like to scan it into the fax app. Then zooming back out, let's take a look at the top of the figure. That ugly slider button really breaks up the profile of the figure. I am not a fan of the slider. The only purpose it really serves my eye is just that you can keep the mouth in different positions, and really that's the only good that comes from this action feature. You can see all that black paint up here, and as we get to about the back part of the figure, Mattel really does not like painting past the hip section on most figures, and this figure is no exception. You do have some large scales right here before it dips in to make space for that slider. And then going down to the tail, I just love all this gnarly, detail, all these, large scoots and osteoderms picked out through the whole tail. So yeah, all in all, like I said, it's a very generic looking figure, but it is, appealing to me because I do kind of like that retro look. Now for articulation, this figure really does not have a lot. The arms can move forwards that far. They're on a hinge, so they can swing out, and they can move back that far before they start hitting the sides of the body. Going down to the hind legs do have that pivot to help with stability. They can move forwards. They have a lock-in mechanism for the neutral pose, and they can move back that far. Now coming down to the tail, I kind of wish Mattel did it with this figure like they did with the other slightly remolded Raw Attack figures like the Ceratosaurus and Allosaurus, that they added, that ball joint for the tail, so at least you can get some side-to-side and up-and-down movement. But, this tail is completely locked into place. It would have been really nice if they remolded this part slightly like they did on some of their older figures. So enough about the articulation. Let's move on to the action feature. The action feature is controlled by this hideous slider button on the back right here. Has 3 different locking points, and as you move it, you get escalating roars from this figure. That's position 1. Position 2. And position 3. So, like I said, the slider is cool because you can lock them out in different positions, and that's really all it's good for. I don't know if this is recycled roars from the other Metria figures. If they are, please let me know down in the comments. Moving on with comparisons. First up, here it is with one of the human figures. Here it is with Kenji. And next up, here it is with the Fierce Force Chialingosaurus. And next up, here it is with the Roar Attack Allosaurus. And here what I was talking about on this Allosaurus, they did remold the tail to give it that ball joint, which is really nice. Like I said, I wish they did it with this Metria also. And next up, here it is with the Roar Attack Oranosaurus. And next up, here it is with the Danger Pack, Scorpius Rex. And lastly, here it is with the Dino Escape, Tyrannosaurus Rex. So, final thoughts on this new Metriacanthosaurus. I like it for its retro dino vibes, but other than that, it's a really boring and lazy design from Mattel. I like this natural looking paint scheme much better than the previous two versions. That's why I never ended up picking those up. And, still have issues with that hideous slider button on the back. The only purpose it serves is to display figures with the mouth open or closed. It's really the only thing it is good for. And, the most interesting thing about this figure is the status of it. Is this really a Walmart exclusive? Like I said, that information came out a couple days ago. That's listed on their site as an extreme damage figure. Obviously, it's not an extreme damage figure. The packaging is just the standard, Dino Escape Roar Attack package that we see on all the figures we see in other retailers. But it is odd that we're only finding this figure currently at Walmart's and they're getting full cases of them. So, like I said, time will tell if this really is an exclusive or not. If it eventually going to be found anywhere else, and maybe more information about this will come out. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the link to that Walmart listing is down below in the description. So that will do it for the review. Right now I'm all caught up on Jurassic World reviews. The only figure I'm looking for is that Wild Pack Wave 2 Baby Brachiosaurus. I am so sick and tired of going to stores looking for it. I cannot find that thing to save my life. Hopefully it becomes a little bit easier as we get closer to the holiday season. I'll finally be able to, scratch that one off the list. And I'm sure once I find it, like, all the next wave of figures will be in stores and I will be broke again. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.